As I say, there are many things that I know or have knowledge of because I was Germany, Russia, China, or whatever, and basically the leader of their countries. Like the acid epidemics, and what is related to John McCain, Jimmy Carter, Jimmy Ford. There was a lot of stuff that they were trying to cover up when they became senators and stuff like that using the religious vote. Um, Around 1930, 1940, 1950, there is this group of people trying out these drugs, and they would try these drugs on people forcibly, usually rich people. They would make them smoke this drug or whatever that was basically like smoking Drainol, pretty much. It would cause serious memory loss, massive mood swings, and basically cause permanent insanity or temporary insanity. I don't know. I had Germany looking into it. I had Russia looking into it. Well, Russia didn't really have a medical back then. I think I had China. I had a couple. I had like three different medical labs, like real researchers looking into what this was and how it affected the mind and all that other stuff. And pretty much it was found to be basically one of, and we found the lab and there was 80 components or 80 different drugs that these people were trying. They were trying to say that they were United States military, but basically it was a JFK offshoot pretty much. Pretty much you find out that JFK had nothing to do with any missile programs, and pretty much JFK and Nixon and Jimmy Carter were pretty much just punk kids running around, killing, creating, trying out these drug components, um, basically doing all this stuff that pretty much caused brain damage, and then they were feeding these drugs to rich people to try and get them to get brain damage so they could take care of them or put them in mental hospitals or take care of their kids or something like that. Anyway, it's this massive thing that was basically the perversion of the United States or whatever. Um, and then later on, these people, they said, "Oh, it was the government. It was the leader that did it." Basically they blamed China, they blamed Russia, they blamed that girl's underpants right there. They wanted to get to her underpants, so they brain damaged her. Uh, they would blame anything, but pretty much the bottom line was about oh over a third or half of the supposed Vietnam veterans weren't actually veterans. They were actually just people that either took a nasty drug or were forced to take a nasty drug by JFK, Jimmy Carter, Nixon, pretty much. And it became a serious epidemic problem and was between 1930, 1940, and 1950 where they were trying to get people to basically take these drugs so they would have memory loss so they could make them sign confessions or whatever. And pretty much and then whatever. Anyway, though, it was basically a drug that these people were force fed or took, trying to get high. I'm not exactly sure exactly the exact details because so much of it was covered up. But you can ask England, you can ask France, you can ask Germany, you can ask Russia or China. They had detailed information on pretty much the acid epidemic. Um, I was advised of the situation, but pretty much, and these brain damaged people were trying to join my government, and I was like, nah, not gonna happen. Um, I mean, because these people had serious personality shifts, like they became psychotic, or they just. I didn't know if it was an act or if it was an excuse, but I was like, wow, okay, whatever. Just deal with it. Put them in jail, kill them, whatever. I didn't really care. They had affected a couple thousand people or more with this nasty drug. This was before we had drug control and people watching out for bad drugs on the street. And it was actually linked to what would then later on be considered a government chemical lab, but it wasn't. It was a rogue chemical lab, and it was basically just JFK or Nixon or Bush. Pretty much, Bush family, whatever, is basically, Bush didn't really have oil wells. They used eminent domain or tried to say it was a war effort to get that stuff. Pretty much it's all lies. Massive amounts of lies by JFK, Jimmy Carter, Nixon, um, huge media control, just this nasty, nasty, horrible thing that they did, which involved like trying to feed drugs to Chinese and all kinds of other people, and pretty much to get control, whatever, to cover up. I'm not exactly sure. Just not go to jail because they had affected thousands of people with this drug. that it was known as acid. And then they tried to like I say it pathetically, like acid, because it's like they went around going like it's so cool, and it's like shut the fuck up, you piece of shit. Because I mean they tried to get, and it's basically Jimmy Carter, and it's just like, oh, I want to hit myself for actually being human because these people were so pathetic. Sorry. They really pissed me off. Like I wanted, by the time I found out everything that they had done, I just wanted to be like, just crush them and into little bitty pieces and squeeze what was their fluids out of my hands, because Rodney's involved, probably Rick Bush, some other people, and basically they're just going after accounts, money or whatever, try and get people to take this nasty brain damaging drug or whatever. And it's kind of like before GHB came along and all that stuff, and it's just some people really, they didn't know what they're doing more than just pouring chemicals into a thing and then trying to feed it to people. And anyway, JFK was involved, of course, and Nixon and all that. So anyway, they were found in like Saigon or some country, and pretty much I believe Germany or England or one of the other countries basically found them and dealt with it. And unfortunately, of course, Nixon escaped. He always seemed to escape or not be around. But anyway, there's like 30 Nixon clones. Anyway, a little nightmare for me, but whatever. And mostly a nightmare for other people. Anyway, later on, these people would call themselves veterans of a psychic war or something like that. And I was just like, they're crazy, whatever. Include them in the medical benefits. We'll just take care of them. Because America actually did have full medical for everyone a long time ago. They just didn't want to tell the children that they had full medical for everyone. So, yeah. There's a lot of lies that Nixon and JFK and Jimmy Carter were doing. Huge amount of lies. And, anyway, they were going after some sort of truth serum. They called it truth serum or whatever, but it was actually just acid and some nasty stuff that would usually cause personality shifts and all kinds of other stuff. Anyway, I had all my researchers look at it and see what it was doing to the human body by testing it on animals and all that other stuff, which was kind of still didn't really make me feel good. I was like, do we have to test it on a living creature? Can't we just look at the people that have already been damaged by it? But they didn't know which component they had used, because there are 80 components or 80 recipes for drugs, which JFK or Nixon had been made or cooked up. And it was not much more than just pouring chemicals into a barrel and going, let's see what that is, let's smoke it. Or let's force someone to smoke it. Anyway, if Hells Angels were involved, I was going to go after them. I didn't really care who was involved. But anyway, what is known as acid and the epidemic that it caused. And anyway, yeah. So that's that.